Everyone's moving to Grand Central Park right now, and honestly, I get it. It's one of the most popular neighborhoods here in Conroe. But I didn't choose it when my family and I moved here. So today I'm going to walk you through an actual home here in Grand Central Park, but more importantly, I'm going to tell you exactly what this community is all about and what you get when you live here. Plus, the big reason that it didn't work for us and what most buyers don't think about. By the way, I'm Allie, the real estate doc. I work with a lot of buyers relocating here to Conroe in North Houston. I'm now a mom of two under two, but a few years ago when it was just my husband and I and our St. Bernard and two cats, we actually moved here from out of state ourselves, from Colorado, and we bought our house sight unseen. It was definitely scary, but technology has come a long way since the pandemic, which has made virtual house hunting a breeze. So I've been in the exact position a lot of you are in right now, but overall, it's the best thing we've ever done. All right, so let's talk about Grand Central Park. This really is a great neighborhood that has nearly everything you're ever gonna need, and I totally get why so many people are choosing to move here. Location-wise, you're in a really easy spot. You can hop on I-45, which is our major highway going north and south, and it's a super quick shot to the Woodlands just south of it, like 10-15 minutes. The Woodlands has a lot to do, lots of restaurants, shopping, the waterway, the Woodlands Mall, plus some of the top-rated medical centers in the country are right there in kind of a triangle. So that's great for healthcare workers in terms of their commute, but also something important to think about when choosing a place you're going to live. You obviously want to be close to healthcare. If you head north, you're also just 15 minutes or so from Lake Conroe, where you can boat, fish, check out all kinds of restaurants on the water. There's often live music. You can rent water toys, visit the public beach. It's just a really fun area to spend a day with your friends and family. So Grand Central Park is what we call a master plan community here in Houston, meaning it's essentially a little village all in its own. It's pretty big, but at least to me, it doesn't feel super packed in because they kept a lot of the trees and green space intact. There's a big lake, tons of trails. It definitely has more of that outdoorsy feel compared to a lot of the newer neighborhoods where they sometimes take down most of the trees and start from scratch. Grand Central Park has tons of amenities, and that's what most people fall in love with here. They really designed it to feel like a resort. So you have a huge pool, a full fitness center, a dog park, there's all kinds of places to hang out. They even host community events on the regular. For a lot of people, these things are huge, maybe even the whole reason they choose a neighborhood like this. Like if you're actually going to use the pool, go to the gym, take your kids to the park all the time, this is a really great place to live because it's all here and you really don't have to go anywhere to get access to these things. So that's a huge benefit. Builder-wise, you've got a good mix here. That's actually one of my favorite things about it because a variety of builders makes the streets look diverse and not so cookie cutter. So you'll actually see all kinds of different styles, not just exterior, but interior as well if you go touring homes. It would make sense that the prices of the homes also vary quite a bit. Right now, the lowest priced home on the market in Grand Central Park is listed at $314,000. The highest is listed just over $1 million. So really there's something for everyone. I personally think they did such a great job planning out this community that it all flows together so well and it just works. It's also worth mentioning that Grand Central Park is not fully built out yet, but it's getting there. That matters to some people. Like for example, if you're planning to buy a house and turn around and sell it in a couple years, I wouldn't recommend doing that if there's still new construction around you. The reason being is just because it's hard to compete with the builders, right? Because the builders are giving incentives, and if your house is a couple years old and you go to sell it, you're competing with that builder. So not something I would advise to do, but if you're planning on staying in that home 5 or so years, or at least until the build out is through, a much better scenario. So basically everything I've said about the community so far has been positive. So I'm sure you're wondering why Grand Central Park wasn't one of our top picks. The reason is because of the HOA fees mostly. So it's hard to find a community, especially a new build community here in North Houston suburbs that's not in an HOA. But there's a whole range of costs as well as what you get and what the rules and restrictions are. So I knew that coming in. I did my homework and I wasn't expecting to avoid an HOA altogether, but my husband and I did want some flexibility. For example, we wanted to be able to build a shed or an addition, things like that, where we didn't have to jump through a bunch of hoops. And I did catch wind that Grand Central Park's HOA does have some more, I guess you could say, strict rules to it. So the other thing is, even bigger than that to us anyway, was that the HOA dues here land you around $1,200 per year. If you're a person, again, that's going to use all of the amazing amenities that they offer, it definitely makes sense and is totally justified. But since we have a garage gym and sometimes we activate our gym memberships, we planned on building a pool one day. We just didn't plan to use a lot of those things. So for us, it made sense to choose a neighborhood that had basically no bells or whistles, where our HOA was more like $200 per year. So that's just our personal preference, but for a lot of people, it may be different. So that's just kind of my 2 cents and my personal story and thoughts on the matter. I hope I didn't stray anyone away from Grand Central Park who was interested in it as a top contender, because I can't stress enough, it's a really great area and there's a reason that that HOA costs more. And HOAs really exist so that everyone keeps up their property to a certain degree, so you don't have to worry about your neighbors having who knows what in their yard and just kind of making the whole neighborhood look less desirable. So personally, I appreciate an HOA to a degree. I know there's a lot of people that are so against them because they've had horrible experiences or have heard horror stories that just want to find something far away from an HOA. But I would encourage you to at least entertain it in your search, because you're most likely going to find a better home in a better neighborhood that does have an HOA, and you're going to really limit yourself and your choices if you're trying to stay completely away from that. North Houston also has HOAs that come in all shapes and sizes. So I've seen them that are 3 times more expensive than this one. There are some that are relatively cheap, like mine. It just depends how new the neighborhood is, what kinds of things they offer. There's some that have full schools within them, full grocery stores, shopping centers. So it really, again, I can't stress enough, just depends on what you're getting and what's worth it for that money. So if you're trying to figure out which community works best for you and your family, not just what looks good online, that's exactly what I help people do every day. A lot of my clients relocate here from out of state and need help narrowing it down. So if that sounds like you and you need help, please reach out. And if there's a specific neighborhood or community you're curious about, drop it in the comments. I'm out touring all the time and I'm happy to check it out for you.